Accordance 9.2. This podcast is at the basic level. It requires no knowledge of Accordance Bible software or Hebrew or Greek. This week we released another one of our free dot upgrades. Our programmers squashed some bugs, tweaked some settings, and had enough time left to tinker under the hood a bit. The result is Accordance 9.2, now available through Check Through Updates under the Accordance menu. Accordance 9.2 is slightly faster and even more stable, with lots of small refinements most people will probably never even notice. However, there are three major improvements. Users can now magnify any zone and navigate directly between pictures within a module. We've also merged Check for Updates and Easy Install. We'll look at each of these in this week's podcast, along with a handful of smaller tweaks we'll just lump together under Other Miscellaneous Improvements. Magnify Any Zone. Accordance 9 introduced multiple zones, bringing new power and flexibility to a single workspace. However, it quickly became obvious that some of our users wanted more zones than the size of their monitor would allow, and adding too many zones made all of them too small to be useful. Now Accordance 9.2 gives us the power to temporarily magnify any single zone, work with it, then shrink it back to its former size and place. Here's how it works. If we move our cursor into the title bar of any zone, we'll see a new plus icon. Click on it to magnify that zone to fill the whole workspace. It remains fully active so we can work with it however we want. When we're done, move the cursor back to the title bar and click on the minus icon. The zone will shrink back to its former size. How's that for flexibility? Small screen owners, you can start cheering. By the way, there are three keyboard commands that make this feature really useful. Option Command M, which magnifies the front zone or shrinks it back to its former size. Option Command left square bracket, which moves to the prior zone. And Option Command right square bracket, which moves to the next zone. Navigate between pictures. In the past 12 months, we've added more than 10,000 images in new Accordance modules. Pictures of biblical people and places, images of temples and buildings, even some charts and diagrams. These new graphics collections include the various atlases by Carta, photographs of biblical places collected by the American colony, and the various illustrations on Zondervan's new Reference to DVD. They join two long-standing favorites among Accordance users, Photo Guide 3 and Biblical Archaeology Society Biblical World and Pictures. Now, some of us are aspiring photographers, and some of us just enjoy looking at pictures. But either way, it's quickly become obvious we needed a better way to move from photo to photo. Navigate between pictures does just that. Open any picture in its own tab by clicking on its thumbnail. See the new navigation arrows next to the recycle icon? Click on either of them to advance directly to the next picture in the module, forward or backward. Users can now browse their collections easily to locate that perfect illustration for a slide, or just sit back and enjoy the images at their leisure. Check for Updates and Easy Install. Here's Check for Updates, and here's Easy Install. Now, both menu items lead to this single dialog box. Once you're here, you can now switch to the other function simply by choosing it. This is actually the only visible example of a number of things we've done to improve downloads. Users should find their accounts refresh faster, their downloads now resume at the point they were interrupted, and general speed and stability improvements to other areas. Thanks for your patience and your enthusiastic support of our new instant online access. Other miscellaneous improvements. When reviewers appraise a car, they often speak of the quality of its fit and finish, the thousands of small details that combine to make up the character of a vehicle. In and of themselves, any one of these details means little, but taken together they speak of the quality of its craftsmanship. The same is true of software. Here are a number of small changes to Accordance 9.2, making it every bit as impressive as this classic example of a 1950 Chevrolet Deluxe Woody wagon. When amplifying to a reference tool from a text, or triple-clicking a verse reference, the two windows now automatically tie, which is indicated by the appearance of these icons. Control-click in the zone's title bar if you'd prefer to turn the function off. Sentence diagrams now correctly display the Sylvanus font for uncial and Coptic manuscripts, rather than the Helena font of previous revs. And Accordance 9.2 includes a number of enhancements for syntax users. First, syntax panes now display the verse reference at the start of each verse, making it easier to orient oneself in a lengthy sentence. Second, phrase and clause searches now require a chapter or book field, making them much more accurate. There are lots of smaller improvements in 9.2, but all of them are under the hood, so to speak, and not something we can really show in a podcast. Let's take a look at a few of these improvements for ourselves in Accordance. We won't be able to cover all of the new features of Accordance 9.2 today, but there are two I just couldn't resist showing you. Here in Genesis 12:1, for example, if I triple-click Abram, like so, you'll notice that I have my default dictionary set up to go to the Erdman's Dictionary of the Bible. I'll triple-click Abraham there, and I have the full article here. Now I'm going to use my contextual menu, so I press my Control key, and then click on my mouse, and I'm going to look up Haran in a map. And you'll notice it appears in a new zone. And this zone is rather small if I want to see any kind of detail of the land surrounding Haran. Well, conveniently enough, we now have the new Magnify Zone feature. It's right here. You can see that this is the active zone by the blue title bar, and we've long had this Dismiss Zone feature represented by an X here. Next to it, we have this plus sign, which means Magnify Zone, and not only appears in the active zone, but appears in these other two zones as well. Now, if I click on that plus sign, the atlas magnifies. Now, I can actually hold down my Command key. I can maneuver around so I have Haran in the middle. I can zoom in, like so. I can navigate between magnified zones also by pressing Option, Command, and then either left square bracket or right square bracket. Then when I'm done looking at the zones, I can use Option, Command, M to shrink those zones back. Now let me go ahead and we'll triple-click Haran, which I have set up to go to Photo Guide 3. Then I'm going to dismiss my atlas and go ahead and look at some of these pictures. Now you'll notice that they're rather small, so once again I'll click on a picture and I'll go ahead and magnify that zone, and you can see quite clearly the unique beehive-shaped houses that are characteristic of this part of the world. Also, it gives me an opportunity to show you the new navigation arrows, where we can navigate between various pictures in the photo guide, either backward, as you can see here, or forward. And once again, when I'm done navigating through the pictures that I want, I can go ahead and press Option Command M, and we're back to the regular view with all three zones in their proper place. In my opinion, those are the two most outstanding new features of Accordance 9.2. In addition to its increased speed and stability, Accordance 9.2 offers some nice additional features. Since it's a free update to 9.0, installing it should be a no-brainer if you already own version 9. Just click Check for Updates in the Accordance menu. If you've been holding off purchasing 9, it's just one more reason to upgrade to the latest version of the most advanced Bible software in the world. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.